The polar bear is the largest land predator on the surface of the Earth. Its life resembles a movie where monsters emerge at the end to take revenge on the human world. The polar bear is not found anywhere in the world except in the Arctic region, which includes parts of northern Russia, Greenland, Norway, and the United States. But 80% of the total number of polar bears live in the northern part of only one country, which is Canada. And polar bears are usually found on the coasts and islands. But most of the time, you can find them on the surfaces or ice sheets located between the land masses. The polar bear is considered the largest land carnivore outside the marine world. There is no predator that feeds on meat larger than it, or even close to its length and massive size. The polar bear can reach a length of 2.4 meters, and the male can weigh over 800 kilograms. The weight of the largest polar bear ever discovered was 1,000 kilograms, which is equivalent to a full ton. No predatory animal competes with the polar bear in size except for the Kodiak bear, which can weigh up to 680 kilograms. In contrast, the sizes of female polar bears are less than half the size of males, approximately ranging from 200 to 300 kilograms. If food is available, the female's weight can reach up to 400 kilograms. While most types of bears can feed on plants and insects, the polar bear only knows meat and nothing else. If food is available, it can eat between 45 kilograms to 68 kilograms in one meal. The polar bear is distinguished by its extraordinary sense of smell, to the extent that it can detect the scent of prey from a distance of 32 kilometers. Yes, you heard that right. The polar bear's sense of smell reaches up to 32 kilometers. Despite its weight, which typically exceeds half a ton, its maximum speed on land can reach 40 kilometers per hour, and it can swim at a speed of 10 kilometers per hour. The polar bear possesses exceptional swimming skills aided by its long body and neck, in addition to the size of its flat front paws, which can reach a width of 30 centimeters, making them like paddles while swimming. The thick layer of fat helps it withstand the extreme cold temperatures underwater. In fact, its swimming skills also assisted in hunting underwater. The U.S. Geological Survey has recorded some polar bears swimming for 10 consecutive days, covering a distance of approximately 600 kilometers. They do not cover the entire distance by swimming, but they spend most of the time floating on the ice surfaces scattered in the water. Covering these large distances while swimming comes at a very high cost for polar bears, as they consume 5 times the energy they use when moving on land. The longer they spend swimming between meals, the higher their chances of dying from hunger. Although the polar bear's fur appears white, in reality, it is not white at all. It is transparent. Its white appearance is due to the reflection of surrounding light from the ground or sky. The polar bear's transparent fur consists of 2 layers, a thick, soft inner layer and an outer layer of hollow, coarse hairs that scatter visible light waves, which is why we see it as white. Sometimes we see it with a yellowish tint in the summer, and the truth is that the polar bear's natural skin color under this transparent fur is black. In addition to its fur, the bear has a layer of fat that ranges in thickness from 5 to 10 centimeters. For humans and animals that can only see visible light, the polar bear camouflages and blends in with the white, snowy environment it lives in. As for the reindeer, which are sometimes preyed upon by polar bears, the situation is different. Reindeer can see in ultraviolet light, allowing them to detect the location of bears in their snowy environment. Before bears reach their massive size, they are born small, resembling the size of squirrels, weighing no more than half a kilogram and measuring between 30 to 35 centimeters in length. At this stage, they are blind, have no teeth, and their fur is soft and short, which does not provide adequate protection from the extreme cold temperatures in the Arctic. They rely entirely on their mother for food and warmth, but they grow rapidly due to the rich fat content in the mother's milk, which can reach 31% of the milk. The journey of males searching for females to mate begins with the melting of the ice. Males become accustomed to engaging in conflicts with one another to win over females. After mating for 2 days, the male leaves its partner and embarks on a journey alone. One of the strange things about bears and several other mammals in the animal kingdom is that pregnancy does not occur immediately after mating. It is delayed for a period. For example, if mating happens in the fall, pregnancy may be delayed until the beginning of October. This process is called delayed implantation. After the mother has had enough food, she begins to choose a location to build her den or lair where she will give birth and raise her young. The mother selects den sites along coastal areas or on hills close to ice surfaces, and she digs into piles of ice to create a space resembling a cave that can accommodate her and her children after birth. After a gestation period ranging from 195 days to 265 days, she typically gives birth to 3 young or 1 single cub. The cub is called a daisam, and the mother suffers if she gives birth to just 1 daisam because it becomes the only creature that plays with the cub all the time. You will find the daisam constantly biting her, climbing on her back, and poking her eyes due to the lack of any siblings to play with. After giving birth, during the period she stays in the den for 4 to 8 months, the mother neither eats nor drinks. Her only goal during this time is to care for and nurse her young. Although the cub reaches its adult size within a period ranging from 8 to 14 years, the mother usually leaves the cub after 2.5 years from its birth, after she has taught it how to hunt, swim, and survive in the harsh environment they live in. At that time, a new reproductive cycle begins. The massive size of polar bears and their strong sense of smell allow them to detect animals and humans from great distances. Aside from their swimming skills, all of this makes them without natural enemies or predators. However, the #1 enemy against polar bears is hunger, followed by global warming, and the two are somewhat interconnected. The giant, majestic creature you see in pictures and videos turns into a fragile figure, losing more than half of its weight until it dies from hunger. The idea is that global warming causes summer to last longer in the Arctic, during which the ice surfaces that bears rely on to conserve energy while searching for food melt. This forces them to swim longer distances on empty stomachs, which in turn increases their chances of dying from hunger and drowning. The diet of the polar bear relies on fat, meaning that the idea of depending on wild animals like rabbits or camels for food will not sustain them. Their metabolism and the conversion of food into energy are primarily based on fat, and most of their diet consists of seals, which are animals that have a respectable amount of fat. The bear, with its incredible sense of smell, can locate a seal even from the small holes it makes to breathe under the ice. Once the bear identifies the seal's location, it moves in pursuit, using its long claws and massive weight to break through the layers of ice and pull the seal out by its neck. However, if the seal is already out of the water, the polar bear enters stealth mode and approaches it quietly so that it doesn't jump back into the water and escape with its speed. Despite being one of the largest animals on Earth, when it goes into hunting mode, it moves with the grace of a cat. When you watch it on its way to hunt a seal, you'll see it move with an unnatural lightness, sometimes delaying the placement of its hind foot on the ground to avoid making any noise that would alert the seal and cause it to flee. If there are no seals in their vicinity, the polar bear takes a risk and moves towards a more dangerous prey, but one that still has a respectable amount of fat: the walrus. Walruses are animals that are always found in large groups and have deadly fangs capable of piercing the thick skin of a polar bear. However, hunger is difficult, and the mother bear must provide food for her young. The bear is forced to head towards walrus groups and target the young, the old, and the sick, hoping to pull one out of the group and devour it. However, the polar bear doesn't always emerge from this adventure alive. The problem is that polar bears are animals that don't gather and hunt together. They are not only solitary, but they also don't like each other at all, and families often conflict over prey, especially given the scarcity of prey in the region. If there is a dead giant fish in the area, all the mothers with their children would face one of 2 options: either deprive their children and themselves of a decent meal to protect them and avoid confrontation, or remain silent in the face of the other bears. It is known that despite bears spending almost half of their lives hunting, only a very small percentage of their attempts are successful, to the extent that only 10% of their attempts result in them catching prey. Some sources have mentioned that the success rate of their hunting attempts doesn't exceed 2%. As the new surface areas shrink due to the heat, bears have started looking for other sources of food, sometimes putting them in direct confrontation with humans. In February 2019, in a remote town in Russia in the Novaya Zemlya region, the residents faced a number of polar bear attacks, with a total of 52 polar bears invading homes and public buildings throughout the year in search of food. This indicates what could happen in the future if the climatic conditions remain the same, and reports and statistics are indeed pointing to an increase in polar bear attacks on villages near the Arctic Circle where they are located. Although polar bears are not currently classified as endangered, the climatic factors resulting from global warming could change this classification in the near future, or we could lose the Arctic as we know it altogether. That's it, we've finished. For those who made it this far, you are the best people. Please give us a like before you leave so we know how many reached the end.